Okay, so today we're diving deep into some writings from a new source someone sent in.
All right.
Yeah, it's Rakibul Hassan, and this listener sent in a bunch of his Medium posts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we got a good collection here from February and March of this year,
Okay.
2025, and he covers a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. There's stuff about AI in government.
Wow.
And then also like way more personal reflections about life and technology and just
Like the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So it's pretty fascinating, I think.
It is. It's like getting a glimpse into how someone is thinking about both these huge society changes, like the future of government,
Right.
and then also like just what it means to be human in this crazy technological world.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's not just like surface level stuff either.
Yeah.
Like in his bio, he talks about seeking true knowledge with those, quotation marks.
Oh, wow.
And how he sees his writing as a chronicle of self-discovery.
I like that.
So it seems like we're really getting into some deep stuff here.
Yeah, totally. Let's get into it.
All right. So why don't we start with something that feels super relevant right now?
Okay.
That's the intersection of technology and government.
Yeah, for sure.
There's this post from March 4th that you flagged for me called Can AI Run Government? Or still a sci-fi?
Yeah, that one's really interesting. And he starts with this story about two guys,
Okay.
Shahryar and Rashard, back in 2001 in New York.
Wow.
And they're talking about the future of politics in Bangladesh. And, whether things will be stable and stuff.
Huh.
And get this, they were already talking about AI back then.
No way. So this idea has been on his mind for like
A long time.
years.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is.
And that title, too, just grabs you right away.
Can AI run government?
Exactly. Like, he's really questioning if it's even possible.
Yeah.
It is something we should be thinking about seriously, or is it just science fiction?
Right. And he seems to know a thing or two about this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because right at the top of his Medium page, there's a link to his book.
Oh, wow.
It came out in 2021. It's called, I'm going to try my best here.
Okay.
Christian Buddhimotta Manabik Rashtra.
That's quite a title.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
So apparently it translates to revolutionizing government, harnessing AI and APIs to connect and automate Bangladesh's public sector.
Okay, so that's very specific.
Yeah, very focused.
And you mentioned APIs there.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners who might not be super familiar with the term, could you break that down a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, APIs are basically like these messengers that let different computer systems talk to each other.
Interesting.
So like if you're buying something online and you use your credit card to pay the website, it uses an API to talk to your bank system to make sure you have enough money.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the fact that he's talking about APIs in the context of AI and government
Right.
means that he's thinking about the practical side of things.
Yeah, like how to actually make it work.
Exactly.
Not just some theoretical idea.
Exactly. So it sounds like he's been thinking about how AI could really change the way governments work for a while.
For a while, and in a very concrete way.
Okay, so that was in 2021, but now in this new blog post from this year, he's posing the question again. Can AI run government? So maybe his thinking has evolved somehow?
Maybe he's more skeptical now.
Right.
Or maybe he's seeing new possibilities we didn't even imagine a few years ago.
Exactly. So there's definitely some tension there.
There is.
That we need to unpack.
We do. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about this other theme you mentioned.
Okay.
The feeling of being overwhelmed by all the information and technology.
Right, like feeling loss.
Yeah, exactly. And Rakibul Hassan actually talks about this directly in his post from March 13th called Fear of Becoming Obsolete.
Wow, that title is a little scary.
Yeah, a little bit, right? And what's interesting is that he talks about his own experience with this feeling.
Really?
Yeah, he says that back in 2010 when he was working at the BTRC,
The Bangladesh Telecommunication Regulatory Commission.
that's the one he felt lost.
Wow, so even someone working in the tech world can feel overwhelmed by the pace of change.
It's true, and I think that's really relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, things are moving so fast, and it's hard to keep up.
Totally, and it makes you wonder if this feeling of being lost is even more intense now with AI becoming so powerful.
I think so.
Right.
He seems to suggest that in the post.
Yeah, like maybe it's not just about our skills becoming obsolete, but maybe it's also about our understanding of the world.
Like the world is changing so fast that we don't even know how to think about it anymore.
Exactly. And then there's this other post of his from March 7th, Life of a Network Engineer.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
He talks about how the internet is like oxygen now.
Essential?
Yeah, essential for everything from our social lives to, how governments operate.
Right.
So we're super reliant on this technology.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's changing so quickly that it can make us feel completely lost and out of control.
Yeah, it's like this weird paradox.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about AI in government and this feeling of being lost in the information age.
Right.
But Rakibul Hassan's writing also gets really personal.
Oh, yeah.
And I think those personal reflections give us a whole other way to understand his thinking.
Definitely. Let's talk about those.
Right. So there's this post called Kafka on the Shore from March 4th.
Kafka on the Shore.
Right. Kind of a random title, right?
Yeah.
But in the post, he talks about this little disagreement he had with Swati.
Okay.
About his haircut.
His haircut?
Yeah, and it sounds like something really small.
Okay.
But it triggered all these memories for him about his time at cadet college.
Oh, wow.
Where he had to keep his hair short.
Right.
And he realizes that he's still kind of stuck in that mindset.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like this everyday moment that reveals something deeper about his personality.
Yeah, totally. And it's kind of funny, too.
Right, like even someone who's thinking about all these big ideas about AI and government still gets into arguments about haircuts.
Exactly. And then on the same day, March 4th, he also shared this post called Have They Seen the Sea?
Oh, yeah, that one's different.
Yeah.
It's much more serious.
Right. It's about Swati again.
Mm-hmm.
And her experience during the July uprising.
And he talks about her nightmares.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
It is.
Like, it shows how these big events can have a really deep impact on people's lives.
Definitely. And it makes you think about the human cost of all this change that's happening in the world.
Yeah, for sure. So it's interesting how he goes from talking about haircuts to like these really heavy experiences.
Yeah, it shows the range of his thinking.
Totally. All right. So what else do we have from his more personal side?
Okay, so there's this one from just a few days ago.
Okay.
It's called Moving Target. Depression.
That sounds
heavy.
Yeah.
But he uses this really cool analogy in the post. He talks about army training and how to hit a moving target.
Okay.
And the idea is that you have to aim where the target is going.
Right. Not where it is right now.
Exactly. And he connects that to dealing with depression.
Interesting.
Yeah, like you have to be proactive and anticipate what's coming.
Instead of just reacting to how you feel in the moment.
Right. And I thought that was a really powerful way to think about it.
It is. And then there's another one from around the same time called Thinking Clearly.
Oh, yeah. In that one, he talks about how he's always trying to understand how and why people think.
Like the process of thinking.
Yeah. And he's also really interested in what kinds of thoughts are actually beneficial.
Right, like what thoughts actually help us in life.
Exactly.
So it seems like he's really focused on this idea of mental clarity.
I think so.
Which makes sense given his focus on true knowledge.
It's all connected.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to understand the world around him, but also the world inside his own head.
Right, and how those two things influence each other.
Yeah, totally. It's like he's saying that to understand the big stuff.
Like AI and government.
You also have to understand yourself.
And how you think.
Right, so it's kind of like a prerequisite.
In a way, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so we've talked about his thoughts on AI and government and his personal struggles and reflections, but he also has some interesting observations about life and society more broadly.
He does.
Yeah, like in his post, How to Face Life As Is from March 8th.
Oh, yeah. In that one, he basically says, look, problems are inevitable.
That's true.
But that doesn't mean we should just give up.
Right.
He actually uses Bangladesh as an example.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he says that the country's facing a lot of challenges right now.
Okay.
But that we can't just let those challenges paralyze us.
We have to keep moving forward.
Exactly.
That's a good message.
It is, and a message that applies to all of us.
Right, not just people in Bangladesh.
Exactly. No matter what challenges you're facing in your life.
You can't give up.
You got to keep going.
All right, and then there's the intelligence trap from March 7th.
Oh, yeah. That one made me laugh.
Me too.
He's so self-deprecating in that one.
Yeah, he talks about how he often stays quiet in arguments.
Not because he's wise.
But because he's afraid of looking dumb?
Exactly. Like he doesn't want people to see his Goomba.
His Boomba.
Yeah, I guess it means like his lack of knowledge.
Right, like his blind spots.
Yeah, and I think it's really refreshing to see someone who's clearly very intelligent be so honest about his own limitations.
Yeah, totally. It's like he's saying that it's okay to not know everything.
Exactly.
And that, in fact, admitting what you don't know is a sign of true intelligence.
I like that.
Me too. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Rakibul Hassan, what are some of the big takeaways that stand out to you?
I think what's so fascinating about his writing is how he connects these really big ideas about AI and government with his own personal experiences.
Right, like the haircuts and the nightmare.
Exactly. And it's like those personal experiences give his writing this real depth and humanity.
Yeah, it's not just some abstract intellectual exercise.
Very grounded.
Yeah, and I think for our listeners who are always looking for new knowledge and insights, this has been a really good example of how someone is trying to make sense of the world.
Yeah.
Both the world out there and the world inside himself.
Exactly. I think it leaves us with a really interesting question.
Okay.
How do you see these big forces like technology and societal change interacting with your own personal experiences?
Right. Like, how is it all shaping your life?
And what kind of true knowledge are you searching for right now?
Those are good questions.
I hope they spark some interesting thoughts for our listeners.
Me too. Thanks for joining me.